Hello, lovely people. It is Victoria. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Hitting back at you after a few months when I said I was probably going to go back into making content. And I've definitely been thinking about it, but I just, for some reason, have been not actually, talking in front of a camera. I've been just, weirdly nervous about that, but I really want to. And I've been, getting into different things. I've been low-key obsessed with the canceled podcast recently. I am planning a video where I'm going to talk about kind of my history of being a fan of Tana Mongeau and kind of my evolution of my different opinions of her and the nuance of that. That other video that I made a few months ago, I realized I had so many jump cuts because I was so subconsciously influenced by Emma Chamberlain, and also I say kind of so fucking much. I'm gonna try to be a little more aware of that. But this video is also gonna be influenced by Emma Chamberlain because I'm gonna be walking you guys through some random childhood memories of mine and things that have been living rent-free in my mind. I have this for every area of my life, but we're gonna start with the childhood. It's gonna be a bit of a series, and so I'm breaking it up into big chunks. I'm almost 3 years into my therapy journey. Thank you. Affordable healthcare, Medicaid. I could not afford therapy otherwise if I did not have Medicaid, and that's been helping me with a lot of things. But I've just been noticing certain movies of my life being played in my mind, and whether they're cringy or I was mean or just randomly lied about shit that was super unnecessary, that was also really embarrassing and inaccurate. I feel like I need to kind of heal myself by talking through these things and lovingly roasting myself on camera. It kind of reminds me of a quote from Glee where Shelby Corcoran is do you want to know the key to becoming an adult? Stop punishing yourself for things you did when you were a child. And I'm LOL, bet. I'm about to turn 25. I'm gonna be 25 in a few months. I'm excited about that. Having a little quarter life crisis, I guess. We can get into it at a later date, but I've been typing a list that I wanted to share with you guys. Okay. Some of these are embarrassing things that happened to me, and then other things are embarrassing things that I did, or really cringy, or just kind of mean weird things that I did. Some of these are gonna have whole backstories, and then other things are gonna be really brief little anecdotes. So it's we're just starting off 3rd grade. I narked on someone for drawing on their folder or something and not paying attention because they had previously called me out for something to the teacher. So I was purely just trying to be petty, and then literally everyone in the room looked at me because they knew I was trying to be petty, and no one was vibing with it. No, everyone was just why the fuck are you interrupting? I interrupted class to call this girl out for she's drawing on her folder, and I thought that I was having a total own, and it was just why the fuck are you talking? Shut up. And I was just cool. There was the time in 3rd grade that the song You Are My Sunshine had me randomly sobbing in class, trying to hide that I was crying when we were trying to make ice cream. I will never forget, we were making ice cream from scratch with Ziploc bags and rock salt. We had to bring in the ingredients for it, and for some reason we were we had just been singing You Are My Sunshine, I think in music class, and I was crying over the words. It was just I was getting so nostalgic and so tenderhearted over this song, and I was hiding the fact that I was crying in class when I was supposed to trying to make ice cream from scratch. And at one point you have to get all the shit in your Ziploc bag when you're making ice cream and then shake it to combine everything, and I didn't fully close it, so I had I shook salt and it was flying around, and I was already already crying. But that was more funny than embarrassing, but that was just I just thought of that. I was oh, little baby me. So probably the most traumatic experience my 3rd grade year. So I had the biggest crush on this dude. I had a crush on him for a year since 2nd grade, and it was so funny because I had found out kind of the concept of a crush, I think, from Cheaper by the Dozen too. I knew what it was conceptually, and then I decided that I wanted to have a crush on someone. It was very clinical. I saw this kid in my class, I was he seems like an appropriate specimen for me to have a crush on. I really wanted friends, and I keep clapping. I'm playing rock, paper, scissors with myself telling these stories. So there was these little group of girls that I really wanted to be friends with. I can't remember if this was before or after, but at one point we had a little like student government election or something, and one of these girls was running for it, and I was like really wanting to be her friend so badly, and I like unprompted made a bunch of like flyers with her name on it for running for president, but I misspelled her fucking name. And then when she saw it, she literally was just like, that's not my name. My name's spelled like this. And I was just like, oh fuck, okay. So she was like not very nice. Yes, obviously like spell people's name correctly, but it was like a very, in my defense, it was a very unique name. I didn't see this girl's name written all the time. I only heard it. I tried to spell it as I heard it. I've literally never met anyone else with this name before or since in my life. So it's a very unique name in my defense, but it was very embarrassing. But this girl like wasn't super nice, but I like made it super known to this like little group of girls that I had this huge crush on this dude. I just had this thing where I was like kind of ambushed by them. I was like kind of ensnared by them into this situation. They like told me that they were gonna tell him that I liked him, and I was trying to be all brave and be like, oh yeah, he's gonna know, and like I'm gonna be open with my feelings. I'm a modern woman. Then I'm like hanging out with my actual like best friend that I knew was like my best friend, and she and I usually just like hung out by ourselves, but I also was like trying to be friends with everybody. It was like a try hard situation. So yeah, they said they were gonna tell him I liked him, and I thought that was cool. And then they come back and said that he wanted to talk to me, and then they led me to the basketball court, and he didn't want to talk to me. He was playing basketball, and they were all like, Victoria's here, she's here to talk to you. And he was like, I said I wanted her to leave me alone. He said it like very quietly, but he said he like didn't even look at me while he was like playing basketball, and he did that. I'm pretty sure he like literally hit a layup while he was saying this too. It was like kind of iconic, but like also devastating. And so I kind of just like dissociated. I think I just like floated away from the situation. But then later on that day, I wrote him like a friggin' letter saying that I liked, like how much I liked him, and then I also included my like phone number and my address because I thought it was gonna be like a Taylor Swift video where he was gonna like show up at my door. I like gave it to this girl that had just set me up in this trap. I was still like giving her a chance, and she was like reading it and was like, he's not gonna come to your house, like what are you talking about? So I was just like a little hopeless romantic with this little pretty boy who broke my heart on the basketball court. Also kind of in theme of me like wanting friends. I was like, I thought that I was friendless, and I thought that I wanted friends like so badly, but then people would be my friend, and then I would like not even outwardly reject them, but I would like feel suffocated by them, or like when they were just being nice to me and they were being good friends, but I like wasn't satisfied with it. It was really weird. So I had that with a friend. It makes me sad because I don't think I was mean to her, but I felt burdened by her kind of, when like she literally was not a burden. I don't know why I felt like that. I don't know if I like just wasn't used to having actually like nice friends, but I just think of that and I'm like, oh my god, like she literally was just nice to you, and you were probably not as nice to her. And I've like DM'd her on Instagram and was just like wishing her well, and was just like, you know, would love to talk to you sometimes and like catch up. And I don't think she even like saw it. I don't think she even like left me on scene or anything, but like there just hasn't been any contact. And I'm just kind of like, oh. And she's also friends with like another girl that I like do in elementary school that I like fell out of touch with, that I wish I could be friends with. Another girl that I was like nice with in elementary school that I like fell out of touch with in like middle and high school. I literally came up to her at our high school graduation and was like, we should talk. Like we should hang out sometime. And she was probably like, girl, I'm about to do some shit. Like I'm about to, I don't know what she was doing. She was about to fucking move for college. Like I don't know what she was gonna do. She was probably like, yeah, sure, Jan. So yeah, the way that I like prioritized people that I like wanted to be friends with at certain points was funny. I was kind of jumping to a high school story, but we are officially entering middle school. This is like a really cunty thing that I did that I think about, is the fact that I thought that I was like so wronged in this situation, and I thought I was like vindicating myself, but I was actually just being a complete asshole. Basically, like I was working on like a partner project with this girl. She had just moved from Canada, I think. Like she was Canadian. I used the word Canuck in class and everyone acted like I had used some kind of slur against Canadians. Hi, editing me here to say this isn't even like, this was a side story, but I just wanted to add in that it took a Google search for me today to realize that the word Canuck is actually offensive when it's used by non-Canadians. It's one of those things that like Canadians can refer to each other as, but it actually like wasn't super great for me to do that. But I literally spent like 10 years thinking that everyone was being so sensitive over me using that word. I thought I had Googled it at the time. I guess it was wrong. I don't know. But yeah, it was probably not great that I used that word, but you are never too old to be educated, friends. Editing me is also back to add in actually one more 6th grade story that I think about and it's like, wow, why? Is that was really like my tough girl era. Like I really, when I entered middle school, I was just trying to see them all big and bad. And I just thought that that meant being an asshole. And I was like trying on this asshole costume sometimes. But like quite a few times I almost got hit for it, but it was like one of the first middle school dances I ever went to. And the dance part was in the gym. Then the cafeteria, you could buy snacks for it. And there was this big line for the snacks. But my friend was like near the front of the line. And so I tried to cut the entire line and just say that like I was with the group the whole time. But then these people behind me that I think were like 8th graders called me out. And I was just like, yeah, but my friend is here. And I was really just trying to be like just cutting in front of the line, like the type of shit that would totally have pissed me off if I did that, if someone did that to me. But she was like, yeah, your friend was in the line. You weren't, you need to go to the back of the line. And then I just started trying to get her to leave me alone. And I'm pretty sure I called her a dumbass. And I really am surprised that I did not get decked right then and there. And then I think I just ended up like going to the back of the line anyway. But that was not the only time that I said dumbass to get out of like a kind of tense situation. And I thought that I was going to make it better, but it really just made it worse. And then people like laughed at me because I sounded like an 8-year-old that was learning how to swear for the first time. It was a whole thing. She was being like kind of edgy to me. Like she was just being kind of mean a little bit. I forget like specific things because it was like 13 years ago. But I don't know specifically what she was saying, but I was just kind of like, yo, what's up? And then she basically said her parents were going through a divorce and that she like was going through stuff. But I chose to like make myself the victim and I like wrote her a note and I literally, okay, I don't remember the rest of it, but I remember this one line and it's so fucking awful and I hate that I did it, but I need to roast myself for it on the internet because it's like actually kind of like amazingly terrible. I was like, just because your parents hate each other doesn't mean you need to hate me too. It was so bad. I hate it. And then she actually had to like confront me over it and was like, my parents don't hate each other. Like, why are you assuming that? And I was just like, good fucking point. I don't know why I'm assuming that. I had to get checked on that. And I just think of that. I'm like, God damn. Like, wow. Like when you kind of think of yourself as like the sad girl in a music video a lot of the time. And then when you're older and you have like compassion for yourself still, but you're like, oh my God, like I was kind of terrible at different moments. Or I kind of like rejected people that were actually nice to me. It was kind of awful at communicating or like really wanted drama all the time. I know this is like, you know, I was an 11-year-old and I was probably like pretty normal, but like I really was like chasing people's opinion of me. I needed to know what people thought of me. If people didn't want to tell this one particular person, I got so fixated on his opinion, I would like harass him and tell him to tell me. He would like, tell me what you think of me. Tell me that thing you're refusing to tell me that you think is going to hurt my feelings. Tell me so that I can hurt my feelings. Last thing from 6th grade is an embarrassing thing where I was working on the school musical. I was Mrs. Potts in friggin' Beauty and the Beast, okay? There was a rehearsal where there was like a spare few kind of seconds and let me prep a fucking bowl before I talk about this. Okay, so like people wanted to see who wanted to try to do like handsprings and cartwheels and stuff, and this was also my like trying to seem tough era, and so I was like, I can do a handspring, and I tried to like run to the front of where everyone was. We were in our cafeteria because it had like a little shitty like makeshift stage. And I was wearing a skirt and I was wearing nothing under the skirt or like obviously underwear, but like I wasn't wearing shorts or anything because I wasn't planning on doing this, but I like volunteered without realizing that I didn't have anything on under the skirt. And then people were like, are you wearing shorts under that skirt? And I was like, oh, actually not. And then everyone's like, no, don't do that. We don't want to see your underwear. And I was like, I should have been like, oh yeah, I forgot. I didn't realize. But I was like doubling down and I was like, I don't care. And then everyone else was like, we care, we don't want to see your underwear. And I just like shrunk down sheepishly and just like, I think I just fucking faded into the background. I don't know. Another day anyway, in 6th grade, my underwear was like hanging out of my pants anyway when I was sitting on the floor. So they ended up seeing my underwear anyway. So it's all fucking fine in the end.
8 hours later.
Hello. Welcome back. It has been 8.5 hours now since I stopped filming the previous section of this video, and we're gonna finish out the middle school stories. What's funny about me using that sound effect though is that I actually barely ever watched SpongeBob as a kid. My mom just like never really encouraged it. She thought it was dumb. So I was like a little more of a Disney kid, and then I watched more of like the live action Nickelodeon shows a little bit later on, like iCarly and Zoe 101 and stuff. I've also been finding that I'm like refamiliarizing myself with kind of talking in front of a camera and like knowing what I want to say, but I find myself speeding up a lot. Like, I don't know, Trisha Paytasing a little bit. I've been listening to a lot of her podcasts as well. Love just Trish. We're kind of moving like mostly into the 7th grade now. I was in a spelling bee in 7th grade, and I got to the district level, I think. So I got to the district like round of the spelling bee, and I was like reviewing that vocab list. I really cared about this shit, and I got the word Kona. It's something to do with like a tropical storm or something. And I saw it in my mind. I saw that this thing started with a K. I saw that it started with a K. And for some fucking reason, I spelled it with a C. It was not on the vocab list. I had not seen this before. And I spelled it with a C, even though I was like, this is Hawaiian. It probably starts with a K. But I like almost thought I was stereotyping by thinking that or something. And so I was like, C, let me like not complicate it. But it was K, and that traumatized me. Like, I was devastated. 7th grade is when I also started to experience like some really intense mood swings. I had like a lot of shame and kind of an existential crisis going on about my sexuality and like watching porn and stuff, and I felt like super guilty about that. So I had this kind of like anxiety from that was like always kind of on me. But like then also with hormones and stuff, I was just like angry, especially at like authority and teachers and stuff. And I had always been like very concerned with being a good student and teachers liking me and all that kind of stuff. The next few are kind of like me being just randomly mean or like harsh to people that like barely just like they did not do anything to me. Basically, this was like unprompted, and I just felt super edgy for some reason. Before I do that though, the last kind of embarrassing thing from this section, I had an upset stomach, and basically like at one point I was on the toilet and the nurse was like asking if she could come in, and I basically like was okay-ish with her seeing me on the toilet, so I said that she could come in, but I was still on the toilet, and then she was like shocked about it, and I probably like that was probably not the right thing to do. I just like was like, she's a medical professional, it's fine. I wasn't expecting her to like fully come in. I didn't think it was like a big deal. I think I remember. So I was like, yeah, it's fine. And then she was like, oh God. And it was like, probably not the move. So this one is me just being super like emotional in that time period. I was in my 7th grade talent show. I remember I sang If I Die Young by the band Perry. Fun fact. I like didn't place or anything. I was like super sad about it. I like had all these, again, all these like all these dreams and fantasies of being the talent show winner. I was like, oh, just so invested in everything I did. It was like everything was such a big deal. But I was like crying after I didn't place. I literally was like in the back of the cafeteria where it was. I was like crying, and my dad was like saying that I got robbed and stuff, like trying to make me feel better. No offense to, the girl that won, 12 years ago. The next day in school, I don't know what the fuck got into me, but we were like talking about the talent show situation, and I like felt comfortable saying that my dad thought I was robbed. I'm pretty sure I fucking said that in class. Like, for the love of God, what? This is the kind of thing that I think about when I'm like, you thought you were so socially isolated, but like you just isolated yourself so much. Like, you do not say these things. Then it's like backstory. At one point, this is like when Angry Birds was super fucking big. This was like early 2012. And at one point during this talent show in the cafeteria, there was like really loud Angry Bird noises. Like someone was playing it on their phone during the performance, which is obviously like super rude. And for some reason I thought it was my sister because she was really into it at the time, as if my parents would allow that. But anyway, so like I also offered in class at that same time that I thought it was my sister that did that. And then the teacher said to me, well, then your sister should have stayed home. And for some reason I like literally started tearing up in class, and everyone was looking at me, and there were girls that were looking at each other like, why is she gonna cry? They weren't saying that, but they were saying it with their eyes, and I could feel it. But that wasn't even true. And this is like the beginning of a series of times when I just like offered shit unprompted that wasn't even true, that was also like not very flattering to me. And that same classroom where that happened is also where I was like randomly mean to some dude because I was like so obsessed with Michael Jackson at the time. Like, I've always had a thing where I just get super fixated on people, on, you know, a particular moment, and I just get obsessed with everything they've ever done. And I was especially like that when I was younger. So I was super into Michael Jackson, and I had just written on like a piece of notebook paper and taped it to the outside of my binder, saying I heart MJ. And this dude who was like really into sports and stuff just said, oh, who is MJ? Michael Jordan. And I like for some reason got so like edgy in my voice, and I was like, Michael Jackson, as if it was like so obvious, and there's like no other MJ. And then for some reason my bitch ass went to one of my friends and like told her this, that it was like so crazy that he like, you know, tried to relate to me like a friendly person. And she was like, well, like, he's also known as MJ, like, you know that, right? And he was like within earshot too. It was so fucking mean. I just think back, I'm like, what the fuck was my problem? Like, Jesus Christ. But the last story from the 7th grade time period, also occurring in that same classroom where that happened. I don't know if I should say the teacher's name, but yeah, this teacher, like, I had a lot of memories in this teacher's classroom. This teacher was really cool, but like, around this time period when I was like 12, I got this chip on my shoulder that this teacher like had a problem with me, and that he like intentionally wasn't calling on me. I liked this teacher, but then I just got like weirdly resentful towards him. I don't know. I was like really insecure. It was a whole thing. He had this cool assignment. Like, it was, I think, our last class of the day at that time. And he had this cool assignment that he was like leaving us with, of like, he was asking each of us like a random personalized question that he wanted us to look into and have an answer for the next day. But he was running out of time, and then there were people that he had not given a question to by the time the bell rang. I was one of them, but I went up to him at the end and I asked for a question, and he gave me the question like, can you figure out why Harper Lee never wrote another book? And he literally gave me a fucking question, and I like got the answer and whatever, but I was like so attached to the idea of just like not being given a question, because by the time the bell rang, he like, there were certain people that, or not certain people, but like everyone else, he just said like, you know, pick a question, like whatever question you want. And I was like, bro, I want a personalized question too, okay? I love to hear about myself. So I got my question, but then the next day in class, he asked like, how many of you guys did not get sent home with a question? And I raised my hand, even though I literally did. But because I had to ask for it, I considered myself part of the original group of people that didn't get a question. I like needed to remain in that category, and he was giving me this look of like, girl, what? And then the final middle school story that I think I'm going to share with y'all today. Oh, well, 2 more. I mentioned that I really loved Michael Jackson. I still did when I was in 8th grade. I could like do a whole thing going into like the thing of him being a child molester. It's like such a polarizing topic. I am ambivalent. I still loved Michael Jackson at the time, but this teacher that I had, like my homeroom teacher, my main one, he was just so openly disdainful of me expressing any appreciation for him. Also, when people expressed appreciation for Marilyn Monroe, he'd be like, she didn't do anything for society, like what was her talent? He would literally like ask us these questions and then like criticize our answer. So I would say I like looked up to someone like Michael Jackson. I'm pretty sure that was what I answered, because I gave him as an answer one day, and he was just like, okay, his talents are molesting kids and getting away with it and da-da-da, which, like, you know, regardless of what you believe, he just, like, so openly, like, threw his opinion on everything in everyone's face all the time. So that was a thing. But it was super duper fun because at 8th grade promotion, which is what they called graduation, he skipped over my name when he was calling our class. Only my name. Nobody else's. No one else's in that entire ceremony got skipped, but mine. Only one in the entire grade. And a girl in my class, who was a real one, went up to him and was like, you forgot Victoria. And I was like trying to call to him, and then one of the administrators like looked at me and was like, shh, because I was like, maybe I shouldn't, you know, make a scene, whatever, but I was like, hello, and then the girl was like, let him know. So that happened. That was cool. And a high school story is coming soon, I'm pretty sure. Please let me know what you thought of these stories from just forever ago. I wanted to kind of make use of, like, the fact that I remember things in such specific detail for so long, just so randomly. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I really appreciate you guys, and I intend on making more videos, like kind of in little batches, and editing them and then having more consistent output, but we are going to see. We're gonna see. I think some of them are going to be things that I've already talked about that in my channel that was deleted, and I want to kind of, you know, reacquaint y'all with me and things that I'm like proud of or that I want to associate myself with, like the birth control thing, stuff like that. We're gonna see. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys later.